At the start of the movie, we see an apocalyptic Earth suffering from a destroyed atmosphere and overpopulation. The people suffer from diseases, high crime rates, and generally poor living conditions. The rich people have left Earth, and they now live on a space station called Elysium that orbits Earth. Elysium is full of greenery and high medical technology that can cure anything, even cancer. But those luxuries are not shared with the people living on Earth. We then see two kids named Max and Frey. They live in an orphanage and are very close to each other. Like everyone else, they also dream of living on Elysium, and we see them reading a book about it. Max promises Frey that he will take her to Elysium one day. We then see Max years later as an adult getting ready for work. He had a history of committing several crimes in the past, which led to his arrest. After being released on parole, he currently works at a robot factory in Los Angeles. He heads out, and as he is waiting in line to board the bus to work, robot police officers approach the queue, inspecting anyone suspicious. When they get to Max, they ask to search him, but he makes a joke and they assume he is refusing to be inspected. The two attack him forcefully, inspect him and find nothing, but they tell him to report to his parole officer for refusing an inspection. Max goes to the hospital to have his hand checked, and he sees Frey working there as a nurse. He asks to take Frey out on a date as she is treating him. She refuses at first, but Max keeps insisting and finally gets a date. Next, he meets with his parole officer. This officer is also an android and doesn't pay attention to Max's side of the story about his earlier encounter with the police. As a result, his parole is extended by another 8 months. We are then introduced to a hacker known as Spider, who also lives in Los Angeles. He smuggles people to Elysium and is currently running 3 space shuttle flights to Elysium. Most of these people want to use the med bays in Elysium because they can heal any disease or condition. When Spider's shuttles get close to Elysium, the defense system gets notified of the unauthorized flights that are approaching. Elysium's defense secretary, Delacourt, orders her agent on Earth, Kruger, to shoot down the spaceships. Kruger successfully shoots down 2 of the shuttles, killing all passengers on them. But one successfully gets through. Secretary Delacourt orders all the passengers from the spaceship to be apprehended immediately and deported back to Earth. Among the passengers, a mother with a daughter who has broken legs manages to use a medbay, and the mother fixes her daughter's legs before they are caught by Elysium authorities and deported. The president of Elysium is not pleased by Delacourt's actions, which resulted in the deaths of many civilians. He threatens to discharge her and orders for her asset Kruger to be completely taken off from the agency. Back on Earth, we see Max at work. As he is working, a door to a radioactive room he was working on gets jammed, and he struggles to close it. The factory manager approaches Max and orders him to go inside and fix the problem, even though they know it is dangerous. Max goes inside to fix the door, but he gets locked inside the moment the door moves. The factory system keeps on working despite him being stuck inside, so he gets exposed to the radioactive toxin. His co-workers try to save him, but it is too late, and they have to wait for the process to finish before the door can open. As a result, Max gets exposed to a lethal dose of radiation. After he gets rescued by his co-workers, he gets checked up by a robot at the factory, who tells him that he has only 5 days to live, and he is given medication for the side effects. Up in Elysium, Delacourt meets the CEO of Amerdyne Corp, John Carlyle, and offers him defense contracts for life in exchange for a program that will allow Delacourt to conduct a coup on Elysium and install herself as the new president. Carlyle agrees to the offer and writes the program, then stores it in his brain, but as a fail-safe measure that will kill anyone who steals the data and tries to use it. Max knows he will die in a few days, and the only thing that can cure him is a medical bay in Elysium. So Max and his friend Julio approach Spider and ask him to give them a ticket to Elysium. Spider refuses to help Max, so Max decides to make a deal with Spider, saying that he will do anything for him if he gets the ticket. Spider comes up with a better deal instead. He offers to get Max to Elysium if he can successfully extract all the data from John Carlyle's brain. This data ranges from industry data that will reveal Spider's criminal activities to bank information that will make Spider rich. Max agrees and asks for a 4-man team, including Julio. Spider provides Max with a powerful exoskeleton for his body that they install through surgery to give him stamina and strength because Max has been weakened from the radioactive exposure. Once Max is set, he, Julio, and Spider's team make their move towards Carlisle. They get to the Armadyne factory and successfully shoot down Carlisle's spaceship as he's about to head to Elysium. They proceed with the plan of getting the data from Carlisle's brain. Seeing the situation unfold, Delacourt quickly calls in Kruger and his Special Forces team to rescue John Carlisle. Meanwhile, Max and his team get into a shootout against Carlisle's security robots, and a stray bullet injures Carlisle. Despite that, Max and Julio successfully extract the data from Carlisle's brain into Max's brain. Unfortunately, the data becomes unexpectedly scrambled because it is locked behind a security program. Kruger and his team arrive and attack Max's team. They eliminate all of Max's team, including Julio, and fight Max, who is the only survivor. During the fight, Kruger manages to stab Max in the stomach, but Max is able to get away from Kruger. When Delacourt learns Max has escaped with the data, she orders Kruger to catch Max, but avoid damaging his brain. She also locks down all flights from Los Angeles to Elysium. Spider gets more curious as to what might be in Max's brain after seeing the drastic measures that Delacourt has taken to capture him. After Max escapes Kruger, he heads to the hospital seeking Frey's help for his stab wound. Frey takes Max to her home and patches him up. When Max regains consciousness, he wants to leave immediately. He fears that he will put Frey in danger. Before he can leave, he sees Frey's daughter, Matilda. She is suffering from leukemia and will lose her life soon. Frey asks Max to take Matilda with him to Elysium so that she can get treatment, but Max refuses. He does this to keep Frey safe. But unfortunately, when he leaves Frey's house, Kruger's team finds him. Max goes back to Spider's office and demands his ticket, but Spider says that he cannot help him with the skies locked down. Spider checks out the data in Max's brain and figures out that it is a program that can reboot the entire Elysium's mainframe and change things in Elysium's system. But even with that information, Spider still can't help Max reach Elysium in time. Max leaves Spider in anger, but Spider secretly places a tracking device on him. On the other side, Kruger tracks down Frey and her daughter Matilda, but they don't know where Max is, so he kidnaps them. After leaving Spider, Max approaches Kruger and cuts a deal to give Kruger the data in his brain in exchange for treatment in the Elysium medbays. He makes this deal with an armed hand grenade in his hand because he doesn't trust Kruger and his men. Kruger reports to Delacourt, so she lifts the lockdown so that Max can be delivered to her. As Kruger's ship nears Elysium, Kruger's men suddenly attempt to wrest the grenade from Max's grip. In a desperate struggle, the grenade slips from their grasp and falls on the floor. An explosion fills the air and blows Kruger's face off. The formidable leader is now in agony, his face destroyed by the destructive force. Kruger's ship spirals out of control, hurtling towards Elysium and finally crashes onto the space station. Did Max finally take out Kruger? Max then frees Frey from her chair and tells her to go. Frey finds a medbay, but it rejects treating her because Matilda is not identified as a citizen of Elysium. Max stays back in the ship and fights Drake, another member of Kruger's team, who successfully knocks him out and takes him to Delacourt. Then Crow captures Frey and Matilda. After Max is delivered to Delacourt, she orders a team to extract the data from his brain. Kruger's team takes him to a medbay, which reconstructs his face back to normal, and he wakes up. Delacourt confronts Kruger for how badly the mission went, but Kruger stabs her on the neck with a piece of glass. He now plans to betray her by using Max's data to take over Elysium for himself. We then see Max tied to a medical bed, being prepared for an extraction of all the data in his head. But he breaks free and successfully escapes before they can do anything. He then heads to the armory to save Frey. At the same time, Kruger's men install an exoskeleton suit on Kruger, and he orders them to kill every politician on Elysium as he goes to hunt down Max. Spider and his men also land on Elysium after tracking down Max. Max sees Spider through the security cameras, so he calls him and asks him to use the data in his head to make everyone on Earth a citizen of Elysium. This way, he can save Frey's daughter if the medbay recognizes her as a citizen of Elysium. After making his plan with Spider, Max successfully saves Frey and Matilda from one of Kruger's men and tells them to find a medbay, promising he will come after them. After they leave, Spider and Max head to the computer core controlling Elysium. But they run into Kruger and engage in combat. Kruger overpowers Max because of his stronger exosuit. But as the situation worsens, Max manages to disconnect the armor from Kruger's head in a desperate attempt. Seeing that he's about to lose, Kruger tries to blow himself up with a grenade and take Max with him. But Max throws Kruger off the bridge, and he explodes in midair. After the fight, Spider and Max make their way to the computer core. Once Spider hooks Max up to the system, he discovers that downloading the data will be fatal for Max. He attempts to warn Max, but Max, understanding the stakes, decides to proceed regardless. Accepting Max's decision, Spider then gives him the controls and guides him on how to initiate the download. Max calls Frey, says goodbye to her, and leaves a message for Matilda. He then initiates the download, which kills him. But by sacrificing his life, he is able to save the lives of billions of people on Earth by making them citizens of Elysium. Therefore, they can now be given medical aid. The Elysium computer reboots and allows Frey to heal her daughter Matilda. The president and his robot police enter the core room and order Spider's arrest, but the robots are unable to arrest him since he is now a citizen of Elysium. After the reboot, medical shuttles loaded with medbays are sent to Earth to heal everyone who needs help, and the movie ends. What do you think of movies that have the hero sacrifice themselves to save everybody? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss our next recap. Thanks for watching.